Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel for another update on Bitcoin and Solana. It's currently Saturday the 13th of April, and as you can see, Bitcoin and Solana are taking quite a hit in the past 24 hours. Now, I'm going to run through the news quickly. We're going to dive into the charts. It's going to be a quick, unedited one today because I'm technically away for the weekend. I've actually traveled back 1 hour home so I can make this video quickly. Then I'm going to go back to wherever I was. So if you appreciate that, if you appreciate the quick update, then be sure to smash the like down below. But let's dive right into the news. So starting off with the news for Solana, like I said, we're going to fly through this. The chunky merch that we talked about in the previous video has sold out, so hopefully you got your plushie. If we're moving on to Fakeout, the vibing gift token we've been talking about on the channel, they posted a meme as they normally do, and they actually got a response from Windows, which is pretty big in my opinion. Now, in other news, MarginFi, a lending protocol, lost 28% of its total value locked in the past 24 hours or so. This is because MarginFi's founder Edgar basically had an emotional breakdown and resigned. After resigning, people started calling him a scammer and saying he's stealing tokens, stealing customer funds, MarginFi is worse than FTX, and then the previous founder came out on Twitter and started telling people to go fuck themselves. If I were you, I would personally take your money out of MarginFi, just to be safe. Now, the Solana network is much more usable in the past 48 hours or so. If you're using Phantom as well, they've provided some great updates, which basically mean that bots find it much harder to put transactions through. Spamming transactions does not work on Phantom like it used to, so the human experience of using Phantom is much more sleek, and people who are spamming transactions are getting more and more fails until the network upgrade comes. Another reminder that Solana Chapter 2 holders got another $25 airdrop the other day. If you want to know how to claim this, head over to my Twitter and find this tweet. Obviously, we're in a correction right now, so I don't think we're going to be getting too many airdrops, but once Solana and Bitcoin start crushing it back up to the upside, I think there's going to be so many airdrops that are coming to Chapter 2 holders. So if you've been looking for a good opportunity, waiting to buy the Chapter 2, you should probably get it now while it's $500 before they increase the price. And then when Solana bottoms and starts rushing to the upside, everyone's releasing tokens, everyone's releasing meme coins, and Chapter 2 holders are just getting airdrops every single day. At least you won't have missed out on the bulk of the gains. So if you want to get a Chapter 2 or if you want to start mining grass, then my referral codes will be down below for both of these. A quick update on the NFT project I talked about in my previous video, Retardios, which is basically the Milady's spin-off on Solana. They are absolutely crushing it since I mentioned it. They're now at around about 14.37 SOL. I believe we talked about this in my previous video when they were 8 SOL. And since then, the community has been spamming asset manager Vanek, and they've got them to tweet the JPEG anarchist want intern to get fired-io, because they're basically trying to say the word retard. The founder of Backpack tweeted out Retardio. Soul Sniper changed their profile pic to a Retardio NFT, and also Frank from the D-Gods collection and the Utes founder also tweeted out that he's purchased a Retardio. So this just seems like it's getting more and more recognition in the space, and I think this is going to continue to do very, very well. I know I don't talk about NFTs hardly ever on this channel, and that's because in general I don't really think NFTs are going to do as well as they did in the previous cycle, but when I do see these ones that just seem like a no-brainer, I'll let you know, and this does seem like one of those. So I'm still holding mine. I think these can easily go to 50 Solana, so we'll see how that ages. Now let's do a quick update on the Bitcoin ETF flows before we dive into the charts. I post all of the major ETF information that you need to know about the flows over on my Twitter at 618_cowboy, so be sure to follow me. Basically wrapping up the weekly flows for the week of the 8th to the 13th of April. The flows in total were mainly negative, not super negative, but they were bad. GBTC is still outflowing approximately 150 million every single day. IBIT has basically single-handedly been propping up this market with about 90 to 100 million worth of average inflows every day, and cumulative flows remain relatively negative in the immediate short term and leave lots of room for improvement. Now, this is what I've been saying for the past 2 weeks. Once again, I've been saying I lean neutral and bearish into the halving. I've said that in every video, I've said that in every tweet that I've been covering the ETF flows, and this is why. Now, let's dive right into the charts and see what's happening. As we all know, it's about 6 days away until the Bitcoin halving, and we're not having ETFs prop up the buying pressure anymore. This is why I've been saying I lean neutral to bearish. For the next 2 weeks, I've been saying, let's get the halving out the way. I do not want to leverage trade before the halving. And I also tweeted out on Twitter, study longing before the halving, and you can study poverty. I've been telling you guys, I do not want to long. I've been telling you guys, do not long before the halving. Let's get the halving out the way, and then we can look at where we are in the markets. Now, here's where we are. On the 12-hour time frame, since we had that SFP swing failure pattern that we talked about in our previous video, it has not been looking good. We had a massive bearish engulfing candle yesterday on the 12-hour, which is probably also here on the daily time frame. But here's where things get shaky. We had a daily candle body close right underneath the bottom of the diamond top formation, and according to the 50 TMA strategy, we have now got a confirmed short signal. So technically, from a trading perspective, if you were looking to short, you'd be looking for a retest of anywhere between 67,500 and 68,600 today. Like I said, I'm personally not trading before the halving. I'm going to get the halving out the way, but I am going to be using this time to spot buy the dips. So there is a different way that you can look at this. This is the diamond top formation, and I've mainly been showing you guys this just because I think it makes the most sense. We've had a very sharp run up, and then when these diamond tops form, it's typically a topping signal after euphoria. You typically have to correct down almost pretty much in a straight line, reset before continuing further up or deciding the next direction for the trend. However, there's a different way you can spin this. If you're drawing the touch points instead of from here to here, and you're trying to encompass as many touch points as you can along this line, you can see what a lot of people have been talking about. This does look like a asymmetrical triangle, and if you are drawing it as an asymmetrical triangle with the most amount of touch points, we have technically held support on this time frame. However, we are now beneath the 50 TMA strategy, so if this is what you are looking at, you can see we are getting heavily squeezed between these levels right now. And if Bitcoin does not get back above 67,600 very, very soon, then we're going to have a very, very clear short confirmation to break further down to the downside. Is this completely out of the blue? No, this is what I've been telling you guys I expect for the past couple of weeks or so. Once again, I'll reiterate what I've been saying. Don't long before the halving. Corrections are very natural, especially around the halving time, and I lean neutral to bearish for the next 2 weeks. Get the halving out the way and then move up. This is a basic rough drawing of what I was expecting. Like I've been saying, I expect us to come back down to 60,000. That is still my base case. However, this isn't overly bearish. This is about a 10% drop from where we are right now. But as you can see, we've been up, down, up, down, up, down. I'm just calling for this down, which is more or less neutral to sideways before we go up before the halving. So if you've been on the sidelines, if you've been waiting for a position to enter, anywhere between now and 60,000 looks like a good entry point in my opinion. Pre-halving corrections are completely natural. Don't lose conviction. Once again, the Cowboy family, we've been expecting this. We've been leaning pessimistic into the halving for quite some time now. So let's now look at how things are looking for Solana. Definitely not as good, especially with the drama of margin fight. On the daily time frame, bearish engulfing candle with a very clear short confirmation underneath the 50 TMA strategy, and we are just completely falling beneath the Bollinger Bands, which is not a good sign. Now, if we come over to the weekly time frame, I believe it was in our last video, we said Bitcoin and Solana need to hold this level. And I said there's about a 60% chance of us holding the 618, but if not, we've got about a 40% chance to head down to these two levels. And it looks like we've done the latter. So I'm going to once again reiterate my price targets. We said if we hold 165, so be it. But if not, these are the next levels. Technically, there is a 0.5 Fibonacci about halfway between these levels. But as we're on this chart, it's $134. That might be a region that you want to start looking at DCAing. That's one level that I've got that I'm personally going to start DCAing. However, if we come over to the weekly time frame here, you can see we are currently retesting this previous high back in April of 2022 at $145. If we come down to this high in December of 2023, that's $126. And this that we drew back up here was my worst case scenario, a 39.5% drop, which is completely natural. So all in all, let's readjust this and see where we could go down to. If we end up bottoming at this high level, around about 144, we're pretty much there right now, so that's about a 5% dip. But If, which I find a little bit more likely at this moment in time, we come down to $126, that's only about another 16% correction. And that's really not the end of the world. And that would line up quite nicely with Bitcoin taking a 10% dip to 60,000, finding a strong level of support, and then Solana coming down 16%. Now, I saw someone comment in my Discord yesterday, 50% corrections are not healthy in a bull market. And I just wanted to show you guys that is untrue, and we have seen this time over time again. So the best thing to probably compare Solana to, as we've been saying on the channel, we've been looking at the Solana ETH fractal from the previous cycle, is to just go ahead and look at what ETH did in the previous cycle when it was a much higher market cap than Solana. Before the bull run really started getting going, you can see we had numerous corrections, 68% correction on ETH. Then we had another 68% correction. Then we had a 37% correction. Then from this high, we had a 60% correction before finding the top. So 50% corrections. If Solana has a 50% correction, which is not even where this low is, that would be a 40% correction. That could be extremely healthy and completely natural and line up with what we've seen in previous fractals. So that's all I've got for today, guys. Like I said, I am in a little bit of a hurry today. Sorry if it seemed a little bit less scripted. Sorry if it was in a little bit of a rush, not as coordinated. I do have a place to be. I do have business to attend in London. Like I said, I literally just came back to travel to my house to make this video. Then I need to go back and take care of business. So if you appreciate that, smash the like button. As always, don't let these short-term chops chop you out of the market. I'm still calling for these massive price targets. Bitcoin 160,000 at the top of the bull run, and Solana anywhere between $1,000 and $1,300. On Solana, as you can see on the ETH fractal, we're lining up with the correction exactly as we saw. This was one of the 50% corrections that we talked about somewhere here. 37%, really not a big deal. We're lining up with exactly what ETH did in its previous fractal. And for Bitcoin, as you can see, we have come up to the all-time high. We've actually gone above the all-time high before having a red monthly candle, which is extremely unlike Bitcoin. So I think we're in this type of scenario. We're around that previous all-time high, and we're just having a healthy correction around the halving time. So don't let these small moves chop you out, because the next move is probably going to be something like this. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the content, smash like on the way out. I'll see you on the next one. It's been your boy Cowboy Trades. I'm out. Peace.